Hi, Sergio. Thank you so much for taking out the time to share your experience, not only with myself, but with other firm owners that might be considering enrolling with us here at the Abundant Accountant and being in our 8-week sales mastery course. But before we dive into some questions I have, I'd love it if you could share, Sergio, where you're at in the country and what does your firm specialize in and focus on?
I'm in Southern California, Orange County, and our firm focuses on representation and IRS tax resolution.
Yeah, awesome. And how long have you had your firm?
I've been in business since 2017.
Awesome, cool.
Need
So
to do the math in my head, 9 years.
9 years, right? So
I've
before
been in business 9 years.
9 years, this is 9 years for you. So before we, before you thought, well, let me reach out for help and talk to Michelle and Denise and the team here at the Abundant Accountant, what were things like in your firm before you reached out to us? Like, what were the challenges you were having around your sales process, pricing, converting clients, follow up, and handling objections, everything that you've learned so far? What do you feel was, what were things like around those areas in your firm before, you reached out to us?
I thought I had a good system in place where I would get a prospect to come in, I would sit there on my calendar with them, and I thought I would take the right steps to get them qualified. But essentially, what I had on my calendar was I was a bit overworked. I had non-qualified people I was talking to and taking up my time.
Yeah.
And without any real system in place, I could say I was way disorganized.
Yeah. Yeah. And like you said, you were wasting a lot of your time and then it probably started to eat you up inside, right? Like what were your stress levels like before you started working with us with not qualifying, right? Not talking to the wrong people that would never be a great client for you anyway, and just being completely disorganized.
I really felt the pressure where my value should have been dealt with doing anything else, even casework or dealing with the right prospect.
Yeah.
But I didn't. I still would sit there and just be stressed about I needed to do the right thing, but I
Yeah.
was on the phone with the wrong prospect.
Right. It's frustrating for sure. What was the moment for you, Sergio, where you said you needed to do something about it? Can you share with us that story or that time where you were sitting at work saying, I can't keep going this way. I gotta, and like why you reached out to us? Like, tell us about that moment where you decided, you're 9 years in, it's disorganized, you're meeting with the wrong people. Like, what was the moment you said, I gotta make a change?
The moment I realized is when I looked at it was right after extension season, October 15th, and
Yeah.
I realized did every single client I want to work with was worth it?
Mm,
Should I still remain in business? Is this worth it? Or
mhm.
should I just maybe close down shop and maybe go for a W-2 job?
Yeah. Yeah. And so share with us the process on saying, okay, I'm not going to go that path. I'm going to actually reach out for help and evaluate a coaching program like ours here at the Abundant Accountant. What were you looking at when you were evaluating us? And was this going to be something you really wanted to commit to so you didn't have to go get a W-2 job and close down your doors?
So I got to be honest and I got to confess to you, Michelle, that I've been following you for quite a while. I saw you on social media and I saw great testimonials,
Yeah.
but I think when I first inquired is just to get some information.
Yeah.
And you would pop up on my feed every once in a while. But of course, when tax season comes and casework begins, it was out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
But when I said I want a coaching program that's specific towards a tax professional,
Yeah.
your name was the only name I could think of.
Yeah.
And when then I re-inquired and I hopped on a webinar where you provided a high value 1 hour workshop, I realized that I wanted to sign up because I needed to do something different to transform my firm.
Yeah.
So that's when I decided to take the next steps.
Yeah.
Either I keep doing everything as I was doing before
Yeah.
and be left frustrated, or make a change and see what difference it can make. And I'm so glad I did it.
Yeah, so what differences have, and thank you so much for sharing that. I had no idea you were following me for that long, but and I think Sergio also maybe you can touch on that because I think there's a lot of firm owners that might have listened to the podcast or been on a webinar with us, but they just never took action. But this time around, you took action. So maybe you can speak to that, but also about like how things are so different, So maybe you want to do one first and then we can address how things are so different now.
Things are different. I would say I hit the ground running.
Yeah.
I did modify the systems, but the first and foremost was the closing ratio.
Yeah.
With the steps that you did in week one, week two were so impactful.
Yeah.
I had a higher closing ratio, and I eliminated certain prospects from even hopping on a call with them.
Yeah. So you got your time back and you didn't have to waste so much time with people that weren't going to enroll anyway.
Absolutely correct.
Yeah. And so, you had been following us for a while and then you finally, hopped on the webinar. Do you have any regrets for waiting so long to do this? Or, what would you share with another firm owner that might have saw us on social media or might have listened to the Abundant Accountant podcast or might have seen one of our few hundred testimonials, just like this one? What would you say, or do you have any regrets to not doing this sooner?
Absolutely. I think my biggest regret is not signing up as soon as I saw you. I hesitated for, and just couldn't think of, I need to do this now. But instead, I actually was miserable for a whole nother tax season, a season of, as a resolution firm, we still do a lot of tax filings
Yeah.
for a lot of delinquent taxpayers.
Yeah.
But if we would have pulled the gun, pulled the trigger sooner,
Yeah.
we would have seen faster results, a much less stressful tax season, and would have seen more impactful results on our sales.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, it's just spreading the message, right? And I think one testimonial at a time, Sergio always say we can hopefully end the epidemic of the under earning and overworking disease that has people feeling like you, where you want to just close the doors and just maybe go get a job, where you can make this shift and you can make this change. It's just how do we not delay for that next tax season, right?
Yeah, you have to sometimes listen to your gut instincts,
Yes,
and see
100%.
the proven results. And the system in place, we all want to do things our way
Mhm.
without having any formal training in things that there's no school of or no training in. And
Right.
that's what you put it all together. We already have the technical training in the background of the profession,
Yeah.
but the one thing we're never trained on is the onboarding and sales process,
Yeah.
which you and Denise are masters at.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and you were a good student, so it works beautifully, right? I get asked a lot of times, Sergio, what can you implement right away? I'd love it if you could share how much of what you learned were you able to implement right away, and what did you think about the structure and the mechanics of the program that stood out to you, or like, what did you find really unique and different about working with us? And having the structure and the mechanics laid out for you, and what were you able to implement right away?
You guys practice what you preach, offer that support. And I would say because the tickets aren't, they're not cheap for what we do, it requires that extra touch of engagement when you're dealing with a prospect.
Yes.
And one of the things that I discovered I needed that client to say yes or no. You have the system in place where the client was signing up and we were getting paid
Mhm. Yeah. Yep. So you were able to implement things right away.
right away.
Right.
Right away.
Anything else you want to share about the structure, the mechanics of the program for, others that are really good at their technical skills, but just were never trained on sales and closing and converting clients into paying clients? Is there anything else you want to share from your tax firm owner hat?
Yes, that sometimes we have a short term goal and a long term goal.
Yes.
This program involves both. There are things you want to evaluate, not only amongst the firm, but as far as what your strengths are,
Yeah.
and really maximize and show that to your own clients and prospects. Your own books, you just review each client that you have, and you reach out to that person. You realize that there is more value within that prospect before you deal with anybody else.
Yeah.
But also, you don't want to go out blind to just getting on the phone with a prospect. You want to learn what it takes to dive deep and get to know a prospect situation. That way, you deliver that maximum value,
Yeah.
not only for yourself, but for the client as well.
Yeah. For sure. No, and it's all so true. So, is there anything else, Sergio, that you'd love to share with another firm owner that might be hearing this, heard the podcast? It's another tax season go by. There's also feeling very disorganized and frustrated like you were, and maybe want to throw in the towel and go get a job. Like, what would you share to that firm owner if, telling your younger self something if it were 90 days ago? What would you
Yeah, if you know that something is off within your own systems, within your own firm, and you need a change,
Mhm.
don't hesitate. Don't think about it. Implementing a change today, you're gonna maximize your value.
Mhm.
I've only known Michelle really in her program for 8 weeks, 2 months.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see my real results over the next 10 months to see how much change in the 1 year of her program implementing it has changed. But 2 months has already been well worth it. I
Yeah.
wouldn't hesitate. I would listen to my gut instinct and do it right away.
Yeah. And what were some of your, obviously, you had a higher closing ratio. Do you have any other wins or celebrations that you'd love to share before we wrap up about what you experienced in just 8 weeks? Because, like you said, everything is just going to compound and you're going to get more and more and more results as you continue to implement over time. But you got such a massive amount in just 8 weeks. Is there anything that you want to share, wins or celebrations, before we wrap up?
Yeah, the wins I got was number one, evaluating my own pricing. For what I was charging for an IRS compliance call for a tax return
Mhm.
was way undervalued. With that being said, I tallied up my wins, and in the slowest months, I had a positive $20,000 more than what I would have charged originally. And that's only with 8 weeks at a very slow time when it comes in our line of work.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Sergio, for taking out the time to share experience with other firm owners that might be frustrated and stuck just like you were. So kudos to you for implementing, doing the work, and I can't wait to see what happens the next 10 to 12 months for you.
Thank you, Michelle. And I know we'll be in contact every week moving forward.